Hey everybody, and welcome back to Learning ConvoCraft. I'm Eric.
And I'm Lisa. So glad you're tuning in with us again today.
You know, we've been hearing from a lot of you over on the YouTube channel, and one thing that keeps popping up is wanting to know more about shopping in English.
Yeah, like especially how to snag a good price. That seems to be a big one.
Totally.
Cool.
So many of you have asked for help with, the words and phrases you hear when you're out shopping, or maybe even online.
Right, and how to actually, maybe pay a little less sometimes. We heard you loud and clear.
We definitely did. And right at the heart of getting those sweet deals is something we call bargaining. Now, this word bargain, that's kind of interesting, isn't it? It does double duty.
It really does. So first up, as a noun, a bargain is just a fantastic price. You know, when you feel like you've really scored something amazing.
Like, wow, this t-shirt was such a bargain. I only paid like $1 for it. Okay, maybe not $1, but you get the idea. A great find.
Exactly, a steal. But then, to bargain, that's the verb, that's the action part.
Right, it's the trying to get that awesome price. It's that back and forth, the little dance of offers you might do with the seller. It's sort of like negotiating, maybe.
Yeah, negotiating, but maybe a bit more casual sometimes, depending on where you are. Like you might say, I really wanted that cool lamp, so I bargained with the seller at the flea market and got the price down.
Mm-hmm. Precisely. So, thinking about that, have you ever walked away with a real bargain, you watching at home?
Yeah. What did you buy? Was it amazing? We'd love for you to tell us down in the comments.
Okay, so to really get the hang of how this works in, real life, we're going to listen in on a little conversation. Someone's trying to get a better price in a store.
Let's dive in and see what happens. As you listen, try to pay attention not just to the words about money, but maybe their tone too, and how they try to convince each other.
All right, let's hear.
Okay, here it goes. Plays audio clip of first part of dialogue.
Okay, so wow, what jumped out at you there?
For me, it was right at the start, the woman looking at those two dresses.
The expensive ones, right? Like $150 and $140. Yeah. And her reaction was just so relatable. That's a house in my price range. Obviously joking, but still.
That is such a funny exaggeration, isn't it? It paints a real picture way too expensive. And right after that, she hits them with a really key question. Can you give me a better deal?
Mm-hmm. That's like bargaining 101 right there.
Yeah.
A go-to phrase if you're hoping to pay less.
Definitely. Now, she also mentioned her price range. What exactly are we talking about when someone says that? Like, what's a price range?
Well, think of it like boundaries. The minimum and maximum you're willing to spend on something.
Right. It's your financial comfort zone for that particular purchase.
So when she jokes about the dress price being a house in her price range, she really means it's way, way outside her price range. Just more than she wants to spend on a dress.
Makes sense. What about you watching? When you shop for clothes, maybe, do you usually have a price range in mind, or do you just fall in love with something?
Good question. Okay, so then the seller tries to justify the costs, right? They say it's an exclusive design by DeMarco, and actually a bargain at that price.
Yeah, let's unpack that word exclusive for a second. What does that signal?
Well, exclusive usually means it's not common, right? It's unique, maybe only a few were made, or it's only sold in like certain specific shops.
Exactly. It's supposed to make you think it's more special, maybe more valuable, and therefore worth that higher price tag.
And notice the used bargain there as a noun again. They're trying to frame the current price as already being a great deal.
Yeah, trying to convince her. Do you think she bought it? Metaphorically speaking, I mean?
Doesn't seem like it. Because she comes back with, well, I don't know, I think I'll shop around. Okay, shop around? What's that about?
Classic move. To shop around just means you're going to go check other stores, maybe look online, compare the prices before you actually buy.
Smart, right? You want to see if you can find the same thing or something similar for less money somewhere else.
Definitely a smart move if you're trying to save some cash. Do you usually shop around? Or are you more of an impulse buyer sometimes?
Depends on the price tag. For big things, yeah, I try to shop around.
Yeah.
For like a chocolate bar, probably not. Okay, so the seller.
Yeah.
They probably sense she might actually leave, right?
Yeah, they don't want to lose the sale.
So they offer a lower price, $100. But the buyer pushes back again. That's still more than I wanted to spend. And then she tries a new tactic. What if I take both dresses?
Ooh, nice one. That feels like a classic bargaining strategy, doesn't it?
Totally. By offering to buy more, like buying in bulk almost, she's hoping for a better price per item. Like, hey, more business for you, better deal for me.
Exactly. She's increasing her value as a customer. Let's hear how the seller responds to that.
Okay, let's roll the next part.
Here we go. Plays audio clip of second part of dialogue.
All right, so the seller comes back with this special discount, $190 for both dresses.
And they add that little personal touch just because you seem like a nice person. What do you think about that? Is that genuine or?
Who knows? It's
Yeah.
definitely a sales tactic, right? Trying to build rapport, make the buyer feel special, like you're getting a unique deal just for them.
Mm-hmm. And they use the word discount, pretty straightforward. But what does discount mean in shopping?
Yeah, simple enough. A discount is just a price reduction. You pay less than the original asking price.
Could be a percentage off, like 10% off, or maybe a fixed amount, like $20 off your purchase.
Right. Have you ever gotten a really good discount that totally made your day?
Oh, yeah. It always feels like a little win, doesn't it? Like you beat the system somehow. Now, even with that discount, the buyer says it's still a bit pricey. Pricey. That's a good word.
It is. How would you explain pricey? It's not exactly the same as just extensive, is it?
It's definitely more informal. Yeah, like instead of saying, wow, that watch is very expensive, you might say, that watch is a little pricey. It sounds maybe a bit softer, less formal.
Yeah, I think so. What was the last thing you looked at and thought, oof, that's a bit too pricey for me right now?
Oh, gosh. Probably some fancy kitchen gadget I definitely don't need. Saw it online, looked amazing, but yeah, too pricey. Okay, so after that, the seller goes even lower. They give a final price.
$100 for both dresses, and they call it 2 for the price of 1 and their last offer. Sounds pretty definitive.
It does. Last offer. That signals this is it. The absolute lowest they're willing to go if they're selling, or the highest you'll pay if you're buying. It's like the end of the road for negotiation.
Right. No more wiggle room after that, usually.
Yeah.
And this time the buyer accepts. She says, great, you closed the deal. So yay, success.
Definitely a win for the shopper. She really worked that price down. Okay, let's pause and really focus on some of the key English words and phrases we pulled out of that conversation.
Good idea. Let's do a little language takeaway. First one we want to highlight again is price range. Super important concept.
Yep. Remember, that's the zone between the lowest and highest amount you're actually comfortable spending on something, your budget zone.
Then we had shop around, which is just comparing prices, checking different places, online or in person before you buy.
Saves money. It's a smart thing to do, usually.
And then there was pricey. That casual, informal way to say something costs a lot, like you'd say to a friend,
Exactly. Now, to help these words really sink in, let's listen to that original dialogue one more time. But this time, we're going to slow it down just a tiny bit.
Yeah, this should give your ears a chance to really catch the pronunciation and how these words just flow in the conversation naturally.
Okay, listen closely. Play slowed down audio clip of dialogue.
Hopefully hearing it slowed down like that helped you catch all those little nuances and the key phrases even better.
Yeah, sometimes hearing it slower makes a big difference. Okay, now let's move on to something really practical. Phrases you can actually use when you find yourself wanting to bargain.
Right, putting it together. Useful phrases. Let's equip you.
Exactly. So the first big one we heard was, can you give me a better deal? Or, a slight variation. Can you give me a better price? Pretty similar.
Yeah, very similar. When's a good time to whip that one out?
Well, basically, when you're interested in buying something, but you look at the price tag and think, ooh, that's a little high for me. It's a polite way to ask if the seller might be willing to lower it.
Nice and direct. Starts the conversation.
Mm-hmm. And we actually have another little audio snippet, an example conversation where someone uses exactly this phrase. Let's take a quick listen to see how that negotiation unfolds.
Okay, pay attention here to the back and forth. After they ask for that better deal, what happens next?
Right, here's the example. Plays audio clip of the "Can you give me a better deal?" example dialogue.
Okay, wow. That little exchange had a lot going on. Bit more complex than the first one, maybe.
It did. You heard shopping around and price range again, which is great, helps reinforce those. But the seller also mentioned promotions. What are promotions generally?
Promotions are basically special offers. Deals a store might run for a limited time to get people in the door or to buy specific things.
Like a percentage off or buy one, get one free, or maybe a special holiday sale, that kind of stuff.
Exactly. And the seller in that example also offered a small discount, showing they had some room to lower the price. Then the buyer asked about flexibility. What's that mean in this context?
Asking about flexibility, like, is there any flexibility in the price, is just another way, maybe slightly softer way, of asking if they can lower the price. Are they willing to bend a little?
Gotcha. Less direct than just, give me a discount. Then the seller tried to sweeten the deal by offering an accessory. What's an accessory here?
An accessory is like an extra bit that goes with the main item. So if you're buying a camera, maybe a camera bag or an extra memory card is an accessory.
Ah, okay. So it's a way to add value without dropping the main price too much. Clever.
It can be. We also heard them talk about adjusting the price and meeting halfway. That's a common negotiation term, isn't it?
It really is. Meeting halfway means finding a compromise. If you want $80 and they want $100, maybe you agree on $90. Both sides give a little.
A fair compromise, hopefully. And right near the end, they threw in extended warranty. What's that?
An extended warranty is like extra insurance for your product. You pay a bit more upfront, and it covers repairs or replacement for longer than the basic warranty that comes with it.
Gives you peace of mind, maybe, but it is an extra cost to consider. Wow, so many angles to think about. Okay, let's loop back to our main dialogue phrases. Another really useful one was, "That's still more than I wanted to spend."
Right. When would you use that phrase?
You'd use that after the seller has already offered you a lower price, maybe a discount, but it's still not quite low enough for your budget or what you were hoping for.
So it's a polite way to say, thanks, but no thanks. Yet. It kind of signals you might need them to come down even more if you want the sale.
Precisely. And then the final really crucial phrase we highlighted, "That's my last offer." This one's kind of a big deal, right? Because who can use it?
Yeah, that's the interesting part. Both the buyer and the seller can use this. If you're selling, it means this is the absolute lowest I will go.
And if you're buying, it means this is the absolute highest I will pay. Take it or leave it.
Exactly. It usually means the bargaining is over, one way or another. Decision time.
Right. Okay, now that we've unpacked those phrases, let's do one more listen to that original dialogue between the woman and the shopkeeper.
Yeah, third time's the charm. This should really help cement how these phrases sound and function in a real flowing English conversation.
Okay, one last time with this one. Plays audio clip of dialogue for the third time.
All right. Hopefully listening again after breaking it all down made it even clearer. You could probably hear those key phrases popping out.
I hope so. Now, let's shift gears just a little bit and talk about the cultural side of bargaining, because it's definitely not the same everywhere, is it?
Not at all. Based on, well, some of the context clues and what we mentioned earlier, it seems like in some places, bargaining is just not really done.
Right. We mentioned Canada briefly, where it sounds like even in smaller markets, bargaining isn't super common. If you're watching from Canada, is that true? Let us know.
And then contrast that with, say, Ecuador, where we heard it's pretty common, almost expected, in local markets and maybe smaller shops.
Yeah, but probably not so much in big chain stores or supermarkets in the mall, right? Where the prices are usually fixed.
It's fascinating how it differs. In lots of cultures, bargaining is more than just saving money. It's like part of the social interaction, an art form almost.
Totally. It's part of the whole shopping experience itself.
It is. And, speaking of art forms, we were chatting earlier about our friend Marco. Apparently, he's like a legendary bargainer.
Oh my goodness, yes. Marco has some stories, the deals he's managed to get. He once told me about this time he was trying to buy a rug.
Oh, wait, hang on. Maybe we shouldn't give away his best secrets just yet.
You're right. Maybe we save the full Marco story for another time. But hey, if you watching are curious about Marco's bargaining genius.
Yeah. Definitely ask us about Marco in the comments below. If enough people ask, maybe we'll spill the beans in a future session.
We totally should. But seriously, we are super curious to hear from you about bargaining. Is it common where you live?
When is it okay? When is it maybe not okay, or even considered rude? We'd love for you to share your experiences and any questions you have down there.
Yeah, please do. Now, before we wrap up, we actually have one more quick dialogue example. This one shows a slightly different vibe, maybe a bit more polite or formal.
Let's listen. This person starts by saying, I was wondering if we could work on the price a bit. Feels different already.
Okay, here's the last little scenario. Plays audio clip of the second dialogue. I was wondering if we could work on the price a bit.
Interesting, right? A different feel. That opener, I was wondering if we could work on the price a bit, sounds very gentle, polite.
It does. And notice the seller's response. I see where you're coming from. That's a great phrase for acknowledging the buyer's position without immediately giving in. Shows you're listening.
We also heard the seller say, that's getting close to my limit, which signals they're willing to negotiate, but they have a boundary.
And the buyer even uses the phrase, you drive a hard bargain, which is kind of a playful way of saying the seller is tough but fair, a good negotiator.
Right. And they eventually landed on a fair price, which suggests both sides felt okay about the final outcome. Maybe they both felt it was reasonable.
It just shows, there isn't just one way to bargain. Sometimes being less aggressive, more polite can work just as well, depending on the situation and the person.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've covered a ton of vocabulary today. To help make sure it all sticks, we have a special audio review segment for you.
Yes, this is from our friends at EnglishPod, and it's designed to quickly recap the meaning and pronunciation of some of the most important words from today's lesson.
You'll hear the definition first, and then the vocabulary word itself. Listen closely, and hey, maybe even try saying the word out loud after you hear it. Good practice.
Okay, let's play that audio review now.
Plays EnglishPod audio review section.
That audio review is always so helpful, isn't it? Just drills those words and meanings in one more time.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's do a really quick wrap-up of what we dove into today.
Oh.
We really got into the word bargain, right? Both the noun, that great price.
And the verb, the action of trying to get that price. We talked about figuring out your price range, why it's often smart to shop around.
And how to use the word pricey when something feels a bit too expensive in casual conversation.
And crucially, we gave you some practical phrases for your own bargaining toolkit, like, can you give me a better deal? Or can you give me a better price?
Don't forget, that's still more than I wanted to spend for when an offer isn't quite enough.
And the powerful, that's my last offer, which both buyers and sellers can use to signal their final position.
Our biggest piece of advice now is try it. The next time you're shopping, maybe in a situation where it feels appropriate, try using one of these phrases, even just asking politely.
Exactly. Practice is absolutely the key to getting comfortable using new English words and phrases naturally. Don't be afraid to try.
For sure.
Yeah.
And hey, if you found this lesson helpful and you want to keep learning English with us, making it fun and practical,
Then please make sure you hit that subscribe button for Learning ConvoCraft right down below. That way you won't miss any of our future lessons and conversations.
thanks so much for hanging out with us today, everyone. We really appreciate you spending your time with us.
It was great having you. I'm Elisa.
And I'm Eric. We'll catch you next time, right here on Learning ConvoCraft.